Oh, what is going on, guys? Welcome to the very first podcast in the Wrestling Podcast. What an epic name, I know. So today we are doing our first podcast live from Vocal. So we might do these sometimes. So stay tuned to the site. Also stay tuned to our Twitters, which will be in the description or on the site, whatever you're doing, you're listening to or whatever. So basically, what we're going to be doing is probably once a week we'll be making a podcast. You'll be able to put this on your iPod, your phone. You'll be able to listen to this on YouTube or whatever. So all you have to do is, if you're listening to this on YouTube, leave a comment if you like it. Tell us what we can add. Also, if you're listening to this on your iPod or something, when you get home from wherever you're at, go on the website, add a comment. You can add a comment right under the podcast, so that'd be cool to have your feedback. So yeah, Chris is here doing something. You want to introduce yourself because people don't know who you are?
You all know who I am.
Oh, they know who you are.
No, I'm just kidding. Hi, guys. I just woke up. HBK fan. He sent me a tweet. Chris, I'm available. Want to do a podcast. I was like, you know what? Screw breakfast. Let's do a podcast. No, I'm just kidding. I ate breakfast. Because breakfast is the most important meal of the day.
I ain't eat breakfast.
So, let's talk wrestling.
All right, so...
good segue.
Yeah, I know.
I should get paid for this.
Alright, so, the first thing we were thinking about talking about was Brock Lesnar. If you didn't hear what happened... If you didn't hear what happened, he had his last fight. And before I start this, I'm not big in with UFC. So, I do not know a lot. The only reason I know Brock Lesnar is because he was in WWE, like everyone knows. So, he had his last fight against some guy. I don't even know his name. Chris.
Alistar Overeem.
Sure. And he...
his name?
Yeah, that's fine. And he... basically, he said afterward, because the match was 2 minutes long, afterward he said
it's a fight, not a match.
A match, sorry, a fight, whatever. So after his 2-minute fight, he said that he was retiring. So, Chris, do you want to...
Now, I want to give my thoughts on this. Now... Brock Lesnar is probably one of the biggest aspects in WWE in recent history, He's one of those young guys, he came and took the belt, left. Kind of like The Rock. Ooh, cheap heat. But Brock, people are saying, oh, he's going back to WWE. Let's just look back at his UFC career real quick. He was UFC champion, and, honestly, if he really was considering coming back to WWE, I don't think he's even considering it, and here's why. He said he was leaving UFC, his family wanted him home. Health issues is another big factor. Why would he go on a more tedious schedule with the WWE than just stay in UFC? I mean, UFC, he'd only fight about, I'd say 3 or 4 fights a year, maybe less. But WWE, he'd have to work 360 days a year. It's a really big difference. I don't think he really wanted to do that. And then there's other things. Dana White is really not letting him come back. I remember when they were negotiating, Dana White was against it. And Brock is retired under contract. If you know what that means, he's still signed with UFC. He's just not fighting anymore. But then you have the advantages because Dana White's like, okay, we have this guy sitting here. We're paying him to do nothing. He can just basically promote the company by going on WWE television and wearing a UFC shirt, the little things like that. And I really think if Brock were to come back, there's only one guy he could wrestle, and if he were to come back, it'd be for only one match, and be against Taker. That would make the most sense, because at this point in time, they're thinking of doing Taker Triple H again. And if you look at the current WWE roster, they don't have anyone for Taker to wrestle. That's credible anymore, because look at it. Cena's wrestling a match. Orton probably will be out. And then you just look at the roster. There's certain guys who've already wrestled Taker. I mean, Mark Henry has, Kane has, Big Show even has, I think, and there's just no one really legitimately credible that Taker could wrestle. And I think Brock's one of those guys that can just easily bring him in, and the credibility would be there, so he could wrestle Undertaker. So, will it happen this year? Who really knows? But I can see it, or even see it next year. But don't really expect Brock to return to WWE full-time. That's my opinion.
I kind of agree with you with... the thing where you're have a match against Undertaker, because was it a pretty good match last year with Triple H? Yeah. Do I want to see it again? No, not really. The reason being is because with Shawn Michaels, he had two matches with him, 2 different years. I really wanted to because Shawn Michaels is my favorite wrestler of all time, and I just it's cool to see him face Undertaker for a second time. Do I want to see Triple H face him a second time? Not really. It's
It'd be
kind
a
of
third time this time.
a third time.
Yeah, they wrestled at Mania before
Oh
27.
well, I mean,
Yeah, you weren't watching wrestling though. I just knew it
no,
because they didn't even hype it when they were doing the 27 match. They didn't even mention it. So
yeah,
not a lot of people know that. A lot of people tend to forget that.
I would have never known that.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I don't know if I would want to see it again. And like you said, third time. Do people really want to see it a third time? I don't know. People are gonna be like, oh, obviously, Undertaker's gonna beat him. But I kind of hope that Brock Lesnar will come back at some time. I would say maybe in February.
Because I mean, listen, just like if not to interrupt you, but what I was reading online when they were negotiating with Brock when he was still, currently fighting for UFC, there were talks of 7-figure deals going on. 7 figures to wrestle one match. I mean, that's unheard of, especially for one match. It's kind of like you can't pass that up.
Yeah.
It's a must. They have to do it. I think.
Like with
Just
last
a one
year.
match thing.
With last year, the reason I say that they'll probably Undertaker will probably come back in February is because like last year, they had a more than enough time when Undertaker came back in February because they when did they talk at all? When did Triple H and when did Undertaker talk against each other or talk at all? I mean, on the mic, leading up to WrestleMania. I don't remember one time, maybe once, but I'm not sure. But I don't remember a time before WrestleMania when, maybe the night they came back, but that was like the only time. So
there were stare downs and stuff.
Yeah, stare downs, but they really didn't talk at all. So I mean, all you have to do is that's like putting two people in the ring. That's like if they didn't even have to talk to make the match at WrestleMania. So if they do that with Brock against Undertaker, then it should be the same thing. I mean, if they, like you said about them promoting UFC, or he comes down with a UFC shirt on, like over a jacket or something, or under a jacket or whatever. I mean, they're promoting it. They'll make money. I mean, if they come up with a deal, I think that they would be able to. If they do come up with a good deal, then they should do it. I mean, it'll make a lot of money.
And you know what I was thinking? Maybe he'll have the Stone Cold deal. You know what that is?
No.
Stone Cold's basically being paid a full-time WWE contract, but only has to make a certain amount of appearances a year. That's what Hulk Hogan did too when he was in WWE as well. They had a contract in which basically he had to make X amount of appearances and he get paid the full contract.
I never heard of that, but that's probably what they're doing with Undertaker and Triple H. I mean,
especially Taker.
Yeah, because Taker's like
he's like dead. I really think WrestleMania 29 is gonna be his last Mania.
I don't know. I think that I think he's gonna be 20-0, and then I think they're gonna. I don't know if they'll actually pass down the streak to someone, but. Like, what do you think? Do you think that they'll pass down the streak, like Undertaker loses against someone to like a young guy like Dolph Ziggler, Cody Rhodes, or Wade Barrett, or Sheamus?
People always tend to talk about that, like when will Taker finally just put someone else over at Mania? I don't think it should ever happen. It's just the legacy of the Undertaker at WrestleMania is just it's historic at WrestleMania. When he comes out, he's gonna win.
Yeah.
Sometimes during the match, you're like, oh, maybe he won't. Every match since WrestleMania 24, I thought Taker was going to lose at one point. And it's just, I really don't think unless they really, really have certain confidence in one guy, that if he beats Taker, he's going to be the face of the company. There's no way they're going to do it. And I think, to be honest, the last Taker match, in my opinion, is going to be him and John Cena. That would make the most sense. Cena's the face of the company. Taker's the man in charge. If you know backstage stuff, Taker's the head guy in the locker room. And those two going at it, it wouldn't even matter if Cena won. It would be just, at the end, Taker just raises his hand. Gets Cena up, raises Cena's hand, and leaves. That's all they need to do. But I really don't think anyone should ever beat Undertaker. That's just like... I would be personally pissed off. Because then that'd be like a screw you to Undertaker. All the hard work, every Mania match he's done, he'd be thrown out the window. The streak would be over.
Now, what do you think about him? Like, probably like you said, WrestleMania 29. What about if he were to face Kane? Like I said, I think I said this yesterday in the Skype call. He would face Kane in like an Inferno match or something like that, and they are brothers or whatever. So it would kind of be like him passing down, and Kane would be the guy that would come back maybe once or twice a year to fight at Mania, and it would like he would take Undertaker's spot. What would you think about that?
Now you got to. The thing is, I don't think Kane will ever have the same amount of credibility that Undertaker has.
Oh yeah, I know what you mean, but I just thought like
I
because
think if they wanted to replace Taker with Kane, is that like what it is?
no, what I'm
Mania?
saying is like Undertaker would pass down the streak to Kane. Kane would,
So then Kane would continue it.
yeah, but in a way, yes. Like he would,
Mm.
like they have a match at like I don't know. I just thought that like I was thinking either they pass it down, he passes it down to Kane, or Kane beats him beats Undertaker because you know how like they're. I just think if Undertaker is ever gonna lose, I think it should be against Kane. That's just what I've always said, and I just always thought that would
I
be the
mean,
right
they
thing.
could do it like that, but it's really just like neither one of them have nothing left to prove. They've done it all. And I just feel if Taker were his last match, it's got to be against who's ever the biggest guy in the WWE at that point.
Yeah,
It can be Punk, it can be Cena. We don't know what's going to happen in a year from now.
yeah, you're right about that.
The tides can change. Cena can break his back and never wrestle again at WrestleMania. Just not anything can happen.
I was thinking leading into that WrestleMania of this year. I was thinking like, what would happen if Cena were to get injured, like just like that, like Randy Orton, air quotes supposedly did, like just like that, like, but he actually got injured all of a sudden. Well, who would take his place at Mania, or would they not have the match at all?
No one, because Vince McMahon's an idiot and decided let's promote a match a year beforehand, and he's taking a huge risk with both of these guys.
Yeah,
Because Rock, on the other hand, he's never around the WWE. You don't know what he's doing. He could be freaking driving one day, get into an accident.
yeah,
Like
I know.
Cena, on the other hand, has people driving him everywhere. He has his own tour bus. It's just they're protecting Cena, so he won't get hurt. But then, and if you look at Cena's matches, he's not taking risks in his matches. Like, if you look at it, he was never the guy to really jump off the top rope, but he did it a lot. Remember that? He used to do the leg drop.
Yeah.
He doesn't do that anymore because that's how he got hurt.
Well, he
He's-
doesn't do it a lot. Like I was just watching the Money in the Bank match the other day. He did it like he tried it 2 or 3 times, but
I think they're really just like hold down on Cena. And you know what? It is a smart move to do that. I mean, he'll stay healthy, and if you look at it, he's not even in the main event anymore.
mhm. I kind of think that after this Kane thing that goes down at Royal Rumble,
I think the Kane thing's gonna last for a while.
I kind of think that I don't know why. I just have a feeling that Kane's not gonna have a match at all until Extreme Rules when they pick up the feud again with Cena. Like all of a sudden something happens that Kane's just like not done with Cena, but they somehow, I would say at Elimination Chamber or something, something's gonna go down that they focus they focus 100% on the feud with Cena and Rock, and then afterward, like at Extreme Rules or Over the Limit or something like that, then I think they're gonna pick up on the Kane feud because
Now,
this Kane Cena feud is I think it's gonna be pretty good.